Hi everyone. Today I'm going to record the 46th chapter of my novel Farishta. As a matter of fact, there are three of them. They are sitting in the Garnage in the asylum center. Salvatore Molitiano, Raza Baki, and Farishta Sabadwari. They are talking about Dante Alighieri. It has nothing to do with the 9/11, but as they are sitting over there and they have enough time to discuss, so they talk about different topics. So like this, the story will go onward. So in this chapter, a very important, a very interesting thing they will discuss is the famous masterpiece of Dante Alighieri, Italian writer, Divina Commedia. So let's start. I entered in conversation and said, by the way, I was tourist guide in Pakistan. In those days, I got chance reading Buddhist books. I have seen their monasteries. There is a place in Pakistan called Taxila, which is 35 kilometers away from my native town Rawalpindi. Something like 80 years before, an English archaeologist, Sir John Marshall, discovered a monastery. It was Buddhist university. From there they found stupa. It had 7 umbrellas. The umbrellas are no more. But the base of that stupa is still there. That stupa has story of heaven and hell. It shows different stages of heaven and hell, like Divina Commedia. This stupa is in Jolia. In that stupa, the people who were sent to hell, they have different stages for. There are different stages for them. They were punished according to their sins. On the upper level, there are different positions of Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. When I read Divina Commedia, it's in English it's called Divine Comedy. I thought about that stupa. Salvatore got stunned after hearing that. He said, I know nothing about Buddhism, but this is quite amazing for me. So it means Dante took the central idea of the Divina Commedia from somewhere else, because I'm sure Dante didn't know anything about Buddhism. If he had knowledge about Buddhism, he must have sent Siddhartha Gautama Buddha in hell. I said, tell us about Dante. Raja said, I tell you. Dante was born in the city of Italy called Florence in 1265. Dante mentioned himself from Roman origin in Divina Commedia. He was born in a rich family of Florence who was supporters of Guelphs. Guelphs were in favor of Pope and Ghibellines were against Pope. I mean Vatican City. They used to fight each other. Even Dante participated in one of their war. This great Italian poet's mother left him when he was only 10 years old. When Dante came at the age of 12, he was married with a girl of rich family called Gemma. At that time, it was fashion marrying at young age. On the other hand, Dante was madly in love with Beatrice. Italian people call it Beatrice. It had been long time that Dante was married with Gemma, that all of a sudden he met with Beatrice. So Dante started writing tragic stories, tragic poems in Beatrice's Beatrice's memory, but his wife Gemma didn't know about this. Dante took his initial education at home and then he went to Sicily for studying literature. When the whole Europe was in dark age, they didn't know about anything about literature. At that time, Sicily was the cradle of knowledge and literature. The reason was that it was under Muslims' control. Dante got command in Latin. Dante got command in Latin language. He started writing poetry in Latin language in the beginning. When he started writing poetry, he studied and adapted the style of his time called Dolce Stil Novo, sweet new style. When Dante became 18, he met with Guido Cavalcanti, Cino di Pistoia, and Bruno Lettino. Thrice of them inspired him, and then he left his seniors far behind. The Guelphs defeated Ghibellini. Then Guelphs were divided into two groups, white Guelphs and black Guelphs. Dante was with white Guelphs and they were against Pope. The black Guelphs took the control of Florence with the help of French king. He was sent on exile from Florence. Dante went to Verona and there he lived for 18 years. When he was writing Paradise, at that time he was in Ravenna. As he completed Paradiso, he died. Dante died at the age of 58 in Ravenna, and his mausoleum is there. Raza started looking here and there. Then he said, "You know about Dante a lot. Even Italians don't know all this." Raza said, "It's the matter of interest." I said, "You told us that you are material engineer, but you are professor of literature as well." Now I became familiar with Raza, so stop using respectable pronouns. One can discuss easily in frank way, not in formal way. You waste a lot of time in all these things. In English language, they don't have these formalities. In English, there isn't pronoun for respect. There is in Old English, but they don't use it. Raza said, "Actually, my wife, Rovema, is professor of literature. She is madly in love with literature. This all knowledge I have because of her." Salvatore said, "Where's your wife?" "She lives in Iran with our kids. When I will have chance, I will bring them here." I said, "We were talking about Dante. You didn't tell us about Dante. Dante's central idea. Where did he get the central idea of Divina Commedia?" Raza said, "We should ask Salvatore about that." Salvatore said, "In your presence, my knowledge is nothing. You tell us, where did Dante get the central idea of Divina Commedia or Divine Comedy?" Raza said, "May I?" Both have said collectively, "Please." Raza started talking about Dante. As you have learned little bit about Dante, in English, the marvelous book is called In English, this marvelous book is called Divine Comedy. In Italian, they call it Divina Commedia. Dante started writing Divina Commedia in 308 and he completed in 1321. It means it took him 13 years to complete Divina Commedia. It's a mythological kind of thing. I would rather say it's a poem. And it is the masterpiece of Italian literature. Firdausi wrote Shahnama and gave a new life to Persian language and literature and made Persian language alive forever. It's true that before Shahnama, in Irani people, in Iran, people used to speak some other language. The Persian language which we have today, it's 90% same as it was used in Shahnama Firdausi, which was written 1000 years before. Firdausi's Shahnama was written 300 years before Dante Alighieri's Divina Commedia. Dante wrote Divina Commedia in lingua vulgare instead of Latin. And lingua vulgare was the language of common people. On the other hand, the elite and high class, upper class, used to feel shame speaking lingua vulgare. Dante wrote Divina Commedia in lingua vulgare and in Italian Tuscan region. Still people speak same lingua vulgare which was used in Divina Commedia. If not 100%, 90% is the still same lingua vulgare which Dante used in Divina Commedia, which means the book which was written 700 years before, still people can understand it. Not 100% but 80%. Geoffrey Chaucer wrote Canterbury Tales 700 years before. Today people even can't understand 10% of it. English language has changed so much. I didn't want to interrupt Raza, but I couldn't stop myself. So I said, Raza, do you know about Ghalib, the famous poet of Indo-Pak subcontinent? He did the same thing. Before him, people used to speak very difficult Urdu and he made it easy. Raza said, you are very right. I have read Ghalib's Persian literature, his Persian poetry. He was very much inspired from old Persian poets. So we were talking about Dante Alighieri, Dante's Divina Commedia. Dante was religiously Catholic. He was inspired of Thomas Aquinas school of thought. He used metaphors and similes to explain paradise, hell and purgatory. The name of Dante's book wasn't Divina Commedia, it was called Commedia or Comedy. Later on, when Giovanni Boccaccio read this book and understood the value of this book, then he named it Divina Commedia. First time, Venetian humor writer Ludovico Dolce asked Gabriele Giulietto to publish his book with this name in 1555. There are 14,000 verses in Dante's Divina Commedia. It's divided into 3 parts. First part is hell and it has 33 cantos. In every canto, there are up to 135 to 145 verses. The verses are always in odd number. Every verse has 3 lines. Every verse has 3 line stanza. In that period, it was new style of poetry. Cino di Pistoia and Guido Cavalcanti are considered the founder of this new style of poetry. Dante became master in this style. After Hell, he wrote Purgatory, and it has 33 cantos. Paradise is the last part of the Divina Commedia, and it has 34 cantos. He looked at Salvatore and continued his conversation. As Farishta knows that in Muslim community, they roll rosary beads in 33, 33 and 34 sequence. But Salvatore, it will be shocking for you that there is a great contribution of there is a great contribution of numerology in Divina Commedia. Thank you very much. I hope you like this video. Like my video, subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. And I want to tell you, if you listen and hear this episode, you must listen the next episode as well, because the story of the Divina Commedia will continue. Thank you very much.